Here is a choice that sounds incredibly easy, but statistically, most people get it wrong. If I offered you $3 million in cash right now, right here in a briefcase, or a single dirty penny that doubles in value every day for 30 days, which one would you take?
The briefcase is tempting. It is right there. You can smell the cash.
The penny looks like nothing. It is just copper and zinc. But if you take the briefcase, you are making a massive financial mistake. By the time we get to the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why that penny is worth over $5 million. And more importantly, why your brain is biologically wired to ignore the math that creates that wealth. This isn't just a riddle. This is the exact mathematical engine that separates the wealthy from the people who work until they drop. I'm Alex, and we need to talk about the hockey stick curve. You hear that term in boardrooms and tech startups, but it is actually the most boring, predictable force in the universe. It is called compound interest. Now, before your eyes glaze over because I use the word interest, stick with me. This is the only concept in finance where doing absolutely nothing is the winning strategy. I have run the numbers on this across savings, debt, and the stock market, and the pattern is always the same. Slow, 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 and then suddenly explosive. If you want to understand how money actually moves, not the hype, but the mechanics, subscribe to the channel. I break down these concepts so you don't have to learn them the hard way. It is the best return on investment you will get for your time today. Now, let's look at that penny. Let's go back to that thought experiment. You have a penny. On day 1, 1 cent. On day 2, it doubles to 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents. By day 5, you have 16 cents. Hang in there. This is the phase where everyone who chose the briefcase is laughing at you. You have been doubling your money for nearly a week, and you can't even buy a gumball. Oh. This is what I call the boring phase. By day 10, after doubling 10 times, you have $5.12. Think about that. You are a third of the way through the entire timeline, and you have enough money for a fancy coffee. Oh, that's it? That's it? This is where linear thinking traps us. We expect progress to look like a straight line, a steady hill climb. But exponential growth doesn't look like a hill. It looks like a flat road that goes nowhere for a very long time. This is usually the moment where people quit saving or sell their investments. So you stick with it. We move into the second third of the month, days 11 through 20. This is the deceptive phase. On day 15, that $5 has grown to $163. It is better, but remember, the other guy has a briefcase with $3 million in it. You still look foolish. But watch the math here. The numbers are getting bigger, so the doubles are getting heavier. On day 20, something interesting happens. You hit $5,242. Now 5 grand is real money. It is a used car. It is a nice vacation. But it is still less than 1% of the $3 million you turned down. We are 2/3 of the way through the experiment, and you have almost nothing to show for it compared to the lump sum.
This is the danger zone.
In the real world, this is year 20 of your retirement savings, where you feel like you are never going to have enough. Then comes the final 10 days. This is the hockey stick. Day 21 takes you to $10,000. Day 24 pushes you to $83,000. Suddenly, the curve goes vertical. Oh, May. On day 28, just 4 days from the end, you cross the $1 million mark. You finally have $1 million. But watch this. Day 29 takes you to 2.6 million. And on the final day, day 30, your penny becomes 5,368,709. You beat the briefcase by over $2 million. Here is the crazy part. Nearly all of that growth happened in the last 4 days. If you had stopped at day 25, you would only have $300,000. The magic wasn't in the penny. The magic was in the duration. It was the waiting that created the wealth. Yay! Why is this so hard to visualize? I can tell you the numbers, and you can nod your head, but your gut instinct probably still screams, take the briefcase.
That is because human brains evolved for linear problems.
If I hunt 1 deer, I have food for a week. If I hunt 2 deer, I have food for 2 weeks. That is linear. 1 + 1 = 2. Compound interest is geometric. It is multiplying, not adding. We are literally not wired to intuitively grasp that 2 to the power of 30 is a billion. We treat the future like a straight line extending from the present. We assume that if we saved $5,000 in the first 10 years, we will save $5,000 in the next 10. But compounding bends the line upwards. The biggest threat to your financial health isn't the market crashing. It is your own brain getting bored during the flat part of the curve
And getting off the ride before a significant problem occurs.
Now you might be thinking, that is a cool magic trick, Alex. But I don't have a magical penny. And you are right. But you do have something else. You have the exact same mathematical force working in your life right now. And for about half of you listening, it is currently eating you alive. Conventional wisdom says, save money. I'm going to tell you that saving is useless if you don't understand the engine underneath it. Because that same exponential curve that builds millions can also guarantee you die broke. Let's look at the actual definition of compound interest and how the banks use it against you. Let's strip away the jargon. What actually is compound interest? Most people think it just means earning interest, but that is not quite right. That is simple interest. Simple interest is like a salary. You lend the bank $1,000 and they pay you $50 a year. 10 years later, you have made $500. The principal, your original $1,000, never changes. It is stagnant.
Compound interest is different. It is interest on interest.
Jog timing effectually at Timlanapdi. It is like a snowball rolling down a hill.
It picks up snow, gets bigger, and because it is bigger, it picks up even more snow on the next rotation. The definition from the CFPB is clear. You earn interest on both the money you saved and the interest you have already earned. Your money effectively has babies, and then those babies grow up and have their own babies.
That is the compounding effect.
For the math nerds in the room, and I know you are out there, the formula is A times P to the power of NT.
Don't worry, I won't make you memorize that. Here is what matters.
The P is your principal, your starting money. The R is the rate.
But the superpower in that equation is the little t in the exponent, time.
Because T is an exponent, a power, it does the heavy lifting. If you double the money you put in, you get double the result, linear. But if you double the time, you don't just get double the result, you get exponential results.
That equation is the source code of wealth building.
It is the proof that time in the market beats timing the market.
The math doesn't care how smart you are. It only cares how long you stay in the equation.
There is a hidden lever in that formula that banks love to play with: frequency. That is the N variable. This determines how often the interest is added to the pot. If you have an investment that compounds annually, your interest waits a whole year to join the party. But what if it compounds monthly or daily?
The more frequent the compounding, the faster the snowball grows.
This is why high-yield savings accounts that compound daily are superior to bonds that might only pay out twice a year, even if the rates are similar. It is a subtle difference in the short term, maybe a few dollars, but over 30 years, daily compounding versus annual compounding, it is a detail that looks like fine print, but acts like jet fuel. So, how do we apply this? You aren't getting 100% daily returns like the penny example. That is fantasy. But the stock market historically returns about 7% to 10% per year on average. Haha. That doesn't sound like a doubling penny, but the shape of the curve is identical. It just takes years instead of days. If you invest $10,000 at 7%, in 10 years it doubles, in 20 years it quadruples, in 40 years it is... The penny doubling isn't just a story about getting rich quick. It is a compressed time lapse of a 40-year career. The boring phase is your 20s and 30s. The explosion phase is your 50s and 60s. Oh! The math holds up, provided you don't interrupt it. But here is the catch. This math is completely blind. It doesn't care if it is making you rich or making you homeless.
It just multiplies numbers.
And right now, millions of people are on the wrong side of this equation.
If you think earning 7% in the market is good, consider that most credit cards charge 20 to 25%. This is the anti-penny.
Walmathalan here is Darty from Pardpacks. This is where the hockey stick hits you in the face.
Let's talk about how debt uses this exact same snowball effect to ensure you never leave the starting line. When you carry a balance on a credit card, the bank charges you interest. If you don't pay that interest off immediately, it gets added to your balance.
The next month, the bank charges you interest on your original debt, plus interest on the interest they just charged you.
It is the definition of compound interest weaponized against you. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world.
He said, "He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it."
Credit card debt is the price you pay for not understanding the curve. Because the rates are so high, often 20% or more, the doubling time is terrifyingly short. Your debt can double in just 3 or 4 years if left alone. It creates a hole that gets deeper faster than you can fill it. Let's run the numbers on the minimum payment scam. Ooh. Let's say you owe $10,000 on a card with a 20% interest rate. The bank graciously allows you to pay a minimum of, say, 2% of the balance. That feels manageable. It feels like relief. But if you only make that minimum payment, do you know how long it will take to pay off? Over 25 years. And in that time, you will pay over $14,000 in interest alone.
Every dollar you use to pay down that principal is a guaranteed, tax-free 20% return on your money.
You will never find an investment that good in the stock market.
Paying off debt is the best investment you can make because it stops the reverse compounding.
You have to stop the snowball before it becomes an ever-large avalanche.
Once the debt is gone, you can flip the switch and let the math start working for you again. So we have covered the penny, the math, and the debt trap. The rules are simple.
Rule 1, start early. Rule 2, avoid high-interest debt like the plague. And Rule 3, be patient during the boring phase. That is it. That is the whole game.